Hey, beautiful souls, it's your bruddaZen with another Take 10 with Zen, where we take 10 minutes or less to talk about how to connect to spirit, how to connect more to our higher selves, and where I answer questions from my subscribers. So in this episode 10, we're going to be talking about the empath bubble. I'm like, what is that? Well, I know a lot of you that attend my channel and follow me and attend my lives, watch my videos, have huge empathic abilities. So Spirit really wanted me just to share so that maybe we can also hear from you guys on what you do for this. But I know that when I first started experiencing the full impact of a lot of my empathic abilities, I was actually in my early 30s. And once I kind of moved out of organized spirituality that had limited my abilities, by rules and different things, the more my spiritual abilities and energy started to increase, so did my empathic abilities, the extent that I would feel people's emotions. I had felt people's emotions most of my life, especially as an early child, but we were taught to kind of suppress those things and not talk about them, or you do something about it and you get in trouble, so you learn, don't speak up about that stuff. But later in life is when we really start to open up and we reconnect with those things. And sure enough, shazam, it was like it hit, and I would be like in a restaurant. And I would just feel everyone's emotions around me to the point where I would almost cry. People that I were with would be like, what's the matter? And I'm like, there's just so much going on in this crowded restaurant. This person over here is feeling this and going through this. That person's that person's that. And you feel all these emotions. So I had to do something to try to find ways where I wouldn't be absorbent and taking on everyone's emotions. I'm going to talk about two of them and see if that helps you as well. So the first one I call the air traffic controller, because that's the first thing that came to my mind when I was asking Spirit, like, you got to help me. And I saw myself as an air traffic controller sitting in front of, the big radar, which, has the little bullseye in the middle, and that's the airport, right? And then you have all these little dots that were all around. And those represented all the, human airplanes that were flying around me, all of their emotions that were going on out there. And it was cool because I saw them as far away as little dots. But if I wanted to feel that person's emotions, I could click on the dot and it would expand to where I could feel their emotions. I could know things about their lives, even where these emotions were coming from. So I was able to keep it from being a flood of desired information, and it allowed me to have space between me and them where I could do that. But even then, that was a good step, but I still felt everyone. It just felt like there was a swarm of bees around me. I could still feel all these emotions. And they were still, when I'd click on one to feel their emotion, I would take it on and it would become my own and trigger all sorts of other stuff. So eventually, it moved into a second option. And then came the giant jello mold, or the giant empath bubble, as we can call it, right? And I wish I had a cool story about how the jello mold came to me, and I saw it maybe like I was at a potluck, and look, there's the green shaking jello mold, and it triggered in me anything. I don't know how it came about. I just felt like when I was asking Spirit, I need something else. They're like, just imagine a jello mold, a huge one all around you, and that the emotions, when they come, they get stuck in the jello mold. They don't touch me, but I can touch them if I want to feel the emotion and understand more. So I would see it, I would realize what they are, but I wouldn't take them into myself anymore as my own. I'll talk about triggers here in a second, but it was so relieving. It was so quiet. And it became stronger, and I became more aware of it as I got around crowds. And I'm like, wow, it's not as overwhelming as it was before. I still had, you get used to, it's almost like being in a car when it starts to hail, bap, 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 you're like, oh my gosh. But when you put padding around it, you can still hear it thumping against some padding, but it's not loud and in your face like it normally it is. And then after, it's important to cleanse our energy field, to refresh it, to, clear all this stuff out so we can see more clearly in the world. Because sometimes we'll start just to allow everything to build up, and refreshment is always good, right? So you can cleanse that any way that you wish, whether it's you throw it all away and, make a new Jell-O batch, right? After a while, Jell-O goes bad, doesn't it? I don't know. It's never lasted that long around me. So it's like, okay, that's really good. We have this beautiful Jell-O here. So and you can use whatever works for you, right? Use your creativity, use your imagination, whatever feels powerful and right for you, do that. But these are just some ideas that might get some things triggering where you're like, okay, I can put these emotions and have them set further away from me. But I also realized through it all that sometimes I've still fed all these emotions that were triggering within me. And I was like, what's the deal, Spirit? Isn't this bubble supposed to stop it? And then they told me about triggers. If you're old like me, then Trigger is more than just a horse. Like there was an old movie called Trigger, which was about a talking horse. But this is not about that. Triggers, of course, counselors, psychologists, they go through this themselves. At least a lot of those that friends of mine who were counselors and psychiatrists and psychologists, which when you hear other people's stories, like when they're counseling, if they have some of that within themselves, it triggers the emotions. It's like our little inner child who's, down in our subconscious. Like as an empath, you witness someone's emotion and you touch it, the little inner child goes, ooh, me too, me too, me too. I feel that too. What about me? What about me? What about me? Right. And so they flood your body, and the emotions can trigger up and come bubbling to the surface. So that is different than, feeling other people's emotions and taking them on as your own. You're realizing, oh, this is mine. This is mine I can deal with. And then the more we embrace and do our shadow work with our inner children, both our emotional and our mental inner children, we trigger less and less and less. And it's okay. Just know that whoever we come across, whatever emotions bubble up, are coming up for us to free ourselves from them. So it's not punishment. It's a gift in a way. I know, hindsight, right? It's a gift. Usually not when we're going through it, but after we feel it's like someone taking a thorn out of our foot that we've been walking on for a whole long time. While they're taking it out, it's like, ow, 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 ow. But after they take it out and bandage up, you're like, I can walk without that irritation anymore. And that's what works there for us. So hopefully this helps. I'm running out of time this time. Next episode, I want to talk about what the real gift of an empath is. What? I know. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about how to find your spiritual gift if you don't know what it is yet. So hopefully all this information is helping. Please ask me any questions down below on any of this content, or if there's a subject that you would also like to hear about or have questions answered, you can put that down in the comments too. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, I get it. You can also email me directly at bruddaZen@gmail.com, and I'll answer you there, or I might just answer it publicly, because if you have the question, someone else does too, but I can keep your name out of it. All right, everybody, much, much love to you. And just know as you're going through your weekly, moment, hourly, second-by-second adventure, that every second you are unconditionally loved. by the Mother and the Father of all things, our Creator. And of course, I love you too. So until we see you again, much love, hang in there, and you take care.